I didn't understand. I looked at the runtime. It was only an hour and a half. I was like, how did they manage to fit all this stuff in an hour and 40 minutes? Hi everyone, my name is Camille Hugh, and I am a writer and a filmmaker who makes romantic comedies about Black women finding their happily ever afters, which everyone can enjoy. Now, the other day I watched Maid of Honor, and I've watched it before, a long time ago, but I didn't really remember much of the plot, and I likened it to My Best Friend's Wedding, which I really like, even though I think it's Jules, the main character in My Best Friend's Wedding, is really kind of a horrible person. It's really hard to like her. I mean, I don't know if I was rooting for her. I don't think I was rooting for her, but you still kind of like her, but you do realize that she's a really bad person. And with Maid of Honor, which kind of takes the same premise, which is this guy who is about to lose his best friend, who's getting married, and he realizes he's in love with his best friend. And he tries to stop the wedding by becoming the maid of honor. Well, she asks him to be her maid of honor, but he accepts because he figures he can make the wedding, or he can blow the wedding up because he's on the inside and he can kind of sabotage everything. And so it's still the same, I suppose, icky premise, but you don't think he's a really bad person. I guess because they don't make the fiance as innocent and naive and likable as Cameron Diaz is in My Best Friend's Wedding. Like, she's just so sweet and jovial and friendly and trusting. She's naive, and she's just seems like a really nice person. But in Maid of Honor, the fiance, he spends most of his time in Scotland, so we only meet him, I think, once before we spend a little bit more time with him and his family when they get to Scotland. But I like the movie, and it really brought home what the difference between an indie film and like a classic rom-com. First of all, there's so much stuff packed in an hour and 40 minutes. Like, the story was just progressing and moving and moving and moving and moving. Like, it was, I take that back, because to begin with, it's a slow start. It really takes, in the first act, it takes a while to establish their connection, what they do every Sunday, their routine. And I like it. It's kind of like it's building up their world, the normal world, before everything changes. And it takes its time. And I know modern screenwriting tips and books, they'll tell you, and gurus, they'll tell you to get to the story as fast as possible. So for example, if we were to apply modern screenwriting techniques to this script, people would say, cut all that building up their friendship and like how they met, even though you always want to have the meet cute, which is something that Relationship Goals missed. But we see how they meet. Then we cut to the modern day, and then we see their routine, but it's like a long kind of drawn out routine. Like what they do on a Sunday, they do like these three things. And then they go to the wedding of his dad, and we learn more about his background, his relationship with his dad. And then finally, then she goes away, and then we see him missing her. And then I guess he comes to the realization that he loves her. So that's kind of where the inciting incident occurs, but not really, because the inciting incident seems to be when she comes back and she's engaged, and then he decides his external goal, what he's going to do is he has to be the maid of honor and break it up. So there's a lot of like establishing the normal, and it takes a while to get to what he actually has to do. And I think that sometimes you need that in a story. Like, it's nice every now and then to shake up the convention. With Honora, which won the Best Picture I think it was last year for Oscar. They won an Oscar last year for Best Picture. That film really took a detour from your everything that you learn in screenwriting. They tell you you have to have an external goal and you have to have an A story and a B story and a C story. And in Anora, it was just like this one thing that was happening, and then there seemed to be like a lot of fluff, in my opinion. But there was like nothing else really going on besides this one thing, which this very singular story. I can see why they say you need to have an A story, a B story, a C story, because you just kind of get a little bit bored with just that one thing, and it feels like you're just repeating beats and the story's not really progressing in any way. But it won Best Picture somehow. I don't know. I personally think because there was just a lot of gratuitous nudity and, I don't know. But it is nice when you see a departure from like the cookie cutter, what you're told to do, and it works. And I guess this is not too rambling. I guess I'm not sure if it works because I found myself very conscious of how long it was taking to get started. It did feel a little bit slow. And I wonder what they could have cut, because every part of it was setting up something that was happening later on. Like, could we have made them just being friends a little bit shorter? Their meet cute? Like, I don't know. I'm not really sure what you could have cut. But either way, the film works for me. And after we got past that and we got into what he had to do, then there was like a lot of stuff happening. He had the shower, the bridal shower, planning the bridal shower, and then they go to Scotland, and then we see the traditions of the Scottish, and like it's like a fun journey, and I really liked it. I really liked the movie, and I didn't feel as icky about it as I do about my best friend's wedding, even though I love my best friend's wedding because I love the characters. And there's one line in that movie that I never forget. It's when Jules is chasing the guy, is it Robert? I don't remember his name. And he's chasing Cameron Diaz, and she's on the phone with her BFF, and he's like, "You're chasing the guy." And she's like, "Yeah." And he's like, "The guy is chasing the girl. And who's chasing you?" Like, you want to be going for the person that's running it for you, chasing you, not like you shouldn't be chasing someone who's chasing someone else. Like, and I always remember that line. And I thought like it's just some great writing and some great moments, some really cinematic moments. And, when they're all singing at the table, "The moment I wake up," like, just really good stuff in there. And you want moments like that in your movie that people can they watch it and they're smiling from ear to ear. Like, that is what I think of when I'm writing. I'm thinking of my set pieces. They call them set pieces. Things that probably they make the trailer, like the trailer moments, that just really, really fun parts, because I don't like watching doom and gloom movies. And I guess when you're making a horror movie, or when you put those parts in, I don't know, but definitely for a rom-com, you put like just those standout moments in that feel larger than life, that feel like you wish that you could experience that moment yourself, and because of how fun it would be. And there were some good moments in Maid of Honor, like there was chemistry there between the leads, and it's everything you can kind of ask for in a good rom-com. And it really just makes a stark contrast between the indie Tubi films, like a lot of the low budget films, and the script, right? It's like, it makes me want to hone my screenwriting even more. And I'm always trying to, like I said, get better at my craft. And when I'm writing, I'm trying to make the story as tight as possible, as engaging as possible, and I want to respect the audience's time because I know that they don't want to sit around forever. But like I said, this movie was only an hour and 40 minutes, and they managed to make it snappy. So I have to study this script or the film and see how they managed to do it, especially towards the end of the movie, the middle and the end of the movie. It moves really well and it keeps you engaged. I would highly recommend giving this a watch if you've never seen it before. Maid of Honor. And that's it. There's not nothing really much that I wanted to say about the film besides just how much the writing, the script conventions, how it kind of defied that in taking its time. And it's not like I'm in defense of me making my movie 2 hours and 3 minutes. I was like, but films need time sometimes to grow. You need some air in it. Like, especially when you're in a romance and you want to kind of show the chemistry there. Like it's hard to do that when it's just one scene, only one scene, and then they're in love. Anyway, I've spoken about that before. That is it for today's video. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, share. And of course, if you want to keep up with me and my films, Trouble in Law and Squad Goals, you can head over to www.sittingpretty.com/screenings and watch them. And that's it for now. Thanks again. Bye.